I wanted to introduce all of you to my son, Oliver, as you can see here.
Yay, Oliver!
Woo! He is 13 and I still literally can't believe that he's 13 because sometimes I still feel 13. I'm 43 but still feel 13 at heart. He is one of 6 million. And I think it's safe to say, because I know that this is the case because many of you have come up to me today, that there are many of you here that also have a loved one that is one of 6 million. You see, there are 6 million children in the USA today that are diagnosed with ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And 2/3 of those children are prescribed strong stimulant medication and or behavioural therapy to treat symptoms without any other options presented to them. So I want to poll the room. Who here has a child or a loved one that is impacted by ADHD? Okay, my assumption was correct. There's probably like close to even half of you, which is really surprising. So Oliver is one of those 6 million and he was diagnosed at the age of 4. And we were told that the best place to start was with an ADHD pediatrician, and not knowing what I know now, we agreed to the specialist treatment plan of putting my son on strong stimulant medication. And if I think back to the times, I just wish that I asked more questions. I wish that I went with that gut instinct that something was telling me that it wasn't the right path for us. And I think this speaks to a bigger issue that I'm so glad that we're here today to discuss. We as women are told that we can't trust our intuition, that our feelings, they get in the way, that our gut instincts lead us astray. But I'm here today to tell you that our intuition, it's not our weakness, it is our superpower. My intuition was the number one reason for my son's healing. My intuition was the number one reason for the success in my business. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to back up a little bit. When Oliver was diagnosed, I felt this sense of relief. You know, it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my parenting. I wasn't a bad mum. And that pill, that prescription that the doctor prescribed, that was going to be the pill that would fix our family. But I was very, very wrong. Look, at first things were great. He calmed down a little bit. He was able to play nicely with his brother. The hyperactivity reduced, the meltdowns reduced. But then all his symptoms came back with a vengeance. The tantrums, the meltdowns. We were miserable. Our whole family was miserable. I went back to the doctor and he increased the dose of the medication. And then my son started to experience side effects of those medication. And then we went back to the doctor and he added on a second medication and then a third medication. My son was 5 years old and he was on 3 strong ADHD medications, and all of a sudden he started to experience terrible anxiety, and so we went back to the doctor and he handed me a prescription for a 4th medication. A 5-year-old child here in the USA, 4 strong medication. I remember this one time I was in Costco shopping and Oliver, he wanted a snack before we'd paid for it, and I said no. This resulted in the biggest meltdown that I have ever experienced. Just picture 2 glass pasta sauce jars smashed all over the aisle with him sprawled in it, kicking and screaming. I was mortified. And I looked around at everyone and all I could see was people diverting their gaze, you know, to avoid that embarrassment. I looked over and I overheard a pregnant lady telling her young friend, "I'm never going to let my child act that way." We all know. And all of a sudden, I felt this rush of heat and emotion come over me and I lost it and I burst out crying. And if I'm being completely honest, I was thinking to myself, why me? Why does my life have to be like this? And that was the moment that got me to where I am today, here with you, sharing my story. That was the moment I decided that it did not matter what I had to do or how long it took me, I was going to figure out how to help my son in other ways. And so I dove into the science and the journals and the studies. I went back to school, I did my holistic health and nutrition degree, I did multiple certifications in this particular area, and I learned that ADHD symptoms can be reduced naturally. I learned that ADHD medication is not the only way, even though it is only told by doctors that it is the only way. I learned that inflammation is what is driving a lot of our symptoms. And look, this has not just to do with ADHD. This has got to do with most diseases. This has got to do with most disorders out there, but all we're told is take this pill and you'll be fine. And so today, Oliver, as you can see here, he's 13. He's thriving. He has not been on medication for years. He's a straight A student. He sent me a text like 2 days ago. Let's go, Mum, I got straight A's. Couldn't believe it. But that for me, that doesn't matter. The most important thing for me is he is happy. I'm happy. My whole family has this sense of peace and calm and happiness that we always wanted. And so, I think back again that if only I trusted my intuition sooner, if only I listened to my gut instinct sooner. But when I did start to trust that intuition, my son's whole health changed. I got him off all those strong medications, but in the process, my whole life changed as well. Today, I have a thriving business. I've helped over 1,000 other families reduce their child's ADHD symptoms naturally so they can thrive. And so if you here in the audience have a child that's one of those 6 million, or if you in the audience have a disease, if you in the audience are not feeling well and you feel that there has to be a better way than that pill, there is hope. You need to give yourself permission to trust your intuition. You are the expert in your family. If you have a child, you're the expert in your child. You are the expert in your life. Trust your gut because it knows what it's doing. Thank you.